Country Fried Rock alum Jeffrey Foucault has a new record out called Salt as Wolves. Although the title references Shakespeare's character Iago in Othello, this blues-based rock record is not complicated or snooty. We'll jump right into a brand new conversation with Jeffrey Foucault on Country Fried Rock. So let's jump right in. Salt as Wolves is kind of you going back to doing things as you with a rock band.
It's essentially me doubling back to doing what I had done, in certain ways, doing what I had done before, in the sense that I've always been a solo player traveling under my own name. In the last few years, I've become a duo. I tour as a band, essentially, with a partner, and it's Billy Conway, who was the drummer in the Satellite Project. He used to play with Morphine, and Billy and I travel around together, and I hired Bo Ramsey, who had produced my Ghost Repeater record back in 2006. I hired him to play electric guitar, and then grabbed Jeremy Moses Curtis from the Cold Satellite Project. He's a fine bass player, is in Booker T's band. And then Caitlin Canty, who's a up-and-coming songwriter, and I produced her new record about, maybe a year ago, whenever that was. And then I play in her band. So I'm actually here in town. I'll play tonight, and then I'll play in her band tomorrow night. So her band is my band, essentially, right? Because I hired those cats to play on her record.
We'll be back in a moment with our new conversation with Jeffrey Foucault. We're hanging out today in the brand new Revelator Coffee in Nashville. Thanks for letting us spend the day here. It's actually like a working day here in the coffee shop. So if you hear noise in the background, that's where we are. Pop by. There are locations across the Southeast.
Really happened is I made a record in '06, and it felt like it was about as much as I knew how to do right at that time, right? Like, that's true when you make your early records. They often reflect about what you've learned, right? So this is how I know how to play guitar, this is how I know how to write songs. And I felt like when I got done with that record that there were things that I needed to learn how to do, and I wanted to find ways to bring all the music that I cared about and really listened to and that had influenced me into what I was playing. Because, you might get my first couple records, like quiet acoustic records, and you'd have no idea that, the first thing I ever bought was a Little Richard cassette, So rock and roll, and then blues. I've always been influenced by the blues, but I never really necessarily put it into my music. With the Ghost Repeater record, I hired a blues band to play country songs, right? And folk songs, I guess. So I feel like I took about a 10-year tour of all kinds of stuff. I fronted just a bunch of friends, like a country band, where we would just play straight mid-century country music once a month at a bar. And I did those 2 poem records where I collaborated with Lisa Olstein, who's a modern American poet, and then hired just a killer rock and roll band, and we went around playing like really loud rock and roll music. I did that for a while. Quiet too, but mostly loud. And then I made a record of all John Prine songs where I was sort of going through my early influences and figuring stuff out. I did a record of all Murder Ballads with my buddy Mark Orelli. A lot of those projects, I sold them. I had a label put them out, or I didn't in some cases. And I toured on them, but that was me working out what I needed to do. I made one solo record between Ghost Repeater and this one. It's called Horse Latitudes, and it came out in 2011. We cut that in L.A., and I still needed, to work on what I was doing. And it really was when I met Billy. Started working in Cold Satellite. We started doing just a few. It was actually kind of a fluke. I was out in Bozeman, and I was playing on a radio show. Billy lives on a ranch in Wilsaw. And I was like, well, let's just try doing it duo. And I'd never thought that was something we could do. He played a suitcase drum kit. It just immediately snapped everything into focus.
A couple of seasons ago on Country Fried Rock, we had Jeffrey Foucault when he was part of the duo called Cold Satellite. It's an ongoing project he does with poet Lisa Osteen, putting her words to his music. Today, we'll talk a little bit about that ongoing collaboration, who else he likes to work with in music, and how each of his records stands alone. Welcome back to Country Fried Rock, Jeffrey Foucault. We're back with Country Fried Rock alum Jeffrey Foucault, whose new album, Salt as Wolves, is out now.
And I'd always been an electric guitar player at home, but I never really played on the road much. And so now I've worked it out. So, I go out on the road with Billy. I play acoustic guitar and electric guitar about half and half. I got a little amplifier. I got my stage rig. Billy and I can carry everything we're going to play into the club alone in one trip, right? That's our rule. And so, sonically, we're a big sound, big as a band. And then, for this new record, we're bringing the whole band on the road for the fall.
When we talked a while back about your Cold Satellite project specifically, you had explained a little bit about how that collaboration works with you and Lisa Osteen's words.
In some cases, they were lyrics. In some cases, they were poetry. And once she gave them to me, they weren't necessarily poems anymore because I was cutting and lighting and rearranging and adding lines occasionally, yeah. And sometimes she wrote, she would even write something as a lyric, but she didn't write songs, and she doesn't play an instrument, and so she might say, like, this is verse 1, verse 2, this is the chorus, this is the bridge. And I would look at it, and whatever I was writing, I would say, well, actually, maybe that bridge is the chorus, and I'd move it around, and maybe verse 2 goes toward the end. And so it was a very composite process, that one. This one, this process, these are songs I wrote over the last couple of years. Interestingly, I brought 20 songs into the studio, and I think we cut 16, knocked the record down to 12, and when we got done, it was really clear that all the songs were essentially letters to people. Like, I'm writing to people. That's the through line, and when I look at that record, I'm 40, you get to a certain point and you're sort of trying to come to terms with, and some of the things that you were raised with, what it means to no longer live where you come from, or, what it feels like to love people you don't understand, which I think everybody does, right? Yeah. So that's essentially what the record is about. It's a very personal record, much more personal than anything I've done at all, I would say. So that can be terrifying. It's also liberating in its way,
Hey, y'all, this is Sloan Spencer from Country Fried Rock. Back when Country Fried Rock started, I was using one of the early online radio streaming services to share some music I like and some conversations with songwriters who I thought you needed to know. I didn't even know what a podcast was. And by the time we rolled that out, things went crazy. Early on, I made a wish list of what I hoped Country Fried Rock would be. And over this last year, I'm going to try not to cry, we did it. So here we are. We're kind of at that stage where we need to sustain ourselves and we need your help to do it. We don't really want to sell out to corporate interests, but frankly, if their money's green, we'll talk. The one thing I don't want to do is compromise the decision making. It's let us feature musicians who headline major music festivals to brilliant talents who've never toured. To me, the music matters, and I appreciate you letting me share it with you. So I need your help. Got some fun ways to do it. Go to countryfriedrock.bandcamp.com. Toss a few dollars a month our way. Got an option for you to get your name in a program. Might even be a great way to celebrate some family events like a kid's first concert or something else real important. For those of you who can spare a few extra dollars, or I'll send you CDs from my catalog, koozies and t-shirts that people send along, posters I've even got a rubber monkey that I'll send along. Seriously, rubber monkey. I mean, really, what more could you ask for? We appreciate you. Thanks for joining our community. It's countryfriedrock.bandcamp.com. We're back with Country Fried Rock alum Jeffrey Foucault.
It's Bo Ramsey on electric guitars, and you'd know Bo from, he used to tour with Lucinda Williams, and he produced her record Essence, and he plays with Greg Brown and has for, years, like 30 years, or about, and he plays with Greg's daughter Pieta a lot. He's produced a million records that I really love. He's one of my heroes. One of the songs actually on the record is a letter to him. It's called Slow Talker. Basically, I was like, I could write a 3-chord song that I know he would just crush it, So that's what I did. Billy plays the drums, Jeremy Moses Curtis on the bass, and Caitlin Canty opens the shows and then sings back up for me. And actually, Van Dyke Parks, who played on my Horse Latitudes record, he's going to come sit in Los Angeles. He's another hero that is always willing to play ball, which is good.
So what do you do when some of these folks aren't available because they've got a lot of other projects going on as well? When
Bo can't go, I usually bring Eric Haywood, who plays with Tiff Merritt and Andrew Bird, and I met him when he was playing with Richard Buckner years ago. He's an old friend. He played on we toured as a duo for a bunch of the Ghost Repeater record. He's a fantastic pedal steel player and electric guitar player. So I think he's going to come with us to Europe in March, and I'm not sure where else the tour goes from there. I've been so busy trying to get this record out that I honestly didn't even pay that much attention. Once I knew that the dates were being booked, I said, all right, go for it. Now, my wife, Chris Delmhorst, does this for a living too, and we have a 7-year-old, so that means planning. Yeah, we're kind of like Superman and Clark Kent, you never see us in the same place. At least not outside the house. So I have to make sure that I know, when she's traveling and when she's working her records. So, yeah, well, we have the same booking agent, so it helps a lot, yeah.
Have y'all been able to catch up with any of your pals here in Nashville? I know it's kind of a crazy week when you're here during Americana Fest.
Alex McCullough, who plays pedal steel in the Cold Satellite Band, he lives in town. He's a mastering engineer with Yes Master, and he's got a beautiful little ranch-style house, so we're hanging out at his place out by Donaldson, and we rehearsed yesterday all day. We rehearsed my band, and then we rehearsed Caitlin's band after that. And then we went out and we had a nice dinner, and then we drank a bunch of wine, and then today we rehearsed a little bit this morning, and then we went to the club and we did sound check. Thank you, Sloan, and what a pleasure to see you again.
Right. Production assistance for Country Fried Rock is provided by the One Columbia Foundation, Columbia, South Carolina. Country Fried Rock is a listener-supported program. You make it happen. Thank you. Our 2016 bed music is from the Flat Duo Jets, a live version off of the Athens, Georgia Inside Out compilation. Our Country Fried Rock stinger is from Steve Soto and the Twisted Hearts. Country Fried Rock is distributed to radio stations via PRX, the Public Radio Exchange, at prx.org. Select episodes are also available via AirPlay Direct at airplaydirect.com. Country Fried Rock is copyright 2016 by Lilypad Productions, DBA Country Fried Rock. All rights reserved.
Ever he been helping us some country fried rock.